Today in the crypto space, we're seeing some sideways price action. Bitcoin right around that $66,000 mark and Ethereum right around 3,300. The rest of the crypto space, the altcoins, a mix of green and red. We have Near Protocol getting a nice bounce to the upside and a few others. However, guys, the dips are still there. You're looking at Core, Doge, Litecoin, Stacks, Phantom, and a few others. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one project that we've covered in the past, and it's looking pretty good for that dip opportunity, and that project is called Mintlayer. So you know what, let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome on the channel. We talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here in this market. We do see, what's quite interesting to me is that the overall market cap is coming down. Right? We're definitely coming down very clearly, $2.6 trillion. But look at the volume in the last little while. We have ran up significantly when the market cap was coming down. Now, all of a sudden, the market is kind of slowing down. It's trading volume. You can see that, a bit of a dip, which means that it could be that the market is generally done selling off. If we're not going to get that volume, then how are we going to continue to the downside? So I'm kind of feeling like this could be the beginning of a potential bottom in the works here for the market, for a bit of a retracement or a bit of a relief rally or something to the upside. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. Let's scrape through the top 100 quick to get a sense of what this market is up to. We have Bitcoin coming down, of course, still coming down. However, within a little bit of a retracement to the upside. Could this be a bear flag for continuation down? Possible, guys. Ethereum doing the same thing. We have BNB going sideways a little bit here in the last few hours, of course, coming down and then finally going sideways is potentially an opportunity, right? We can come up with a thesis, a plan. Do we get that bounce? Are we getting signs of bullish divergence? Are we oversold? Yes or no? And in this case, I think it's a good time to start planning an offensive strategy. It doesn't mean that you're going to get all in right now at this current moment, but getting into an offensive strategy or planning out your strategy right now is not a bad idea. We have a couple of altcoins going sideways. Cardano's going sideways. Dogecoin finding its bottom bit by bit. AVAX making that lower low in the immediate short term, but it's all good. You never know what happens here. We could get a bounce any moment. AVAX at the current moment is down 3.3%. It's dipping a little harder than the rest of the market. However, no big deal, guys. If we do get that bounce eventually at horizontal support, we should see a nice continuation to the upside. And based on the fact is that, if the bull run is going to be happening, it's going to be happening now. It's going to be happening very soon. So be prepared. Pay attention for those dips. As soon as we come down a little bit lower, I'm going to get a lot more confident to be accumulating, guys, and expect those updates where I'm going to be accumulating across the board and buying the dips. In the last while, we got maybe a nice 10% dip, no doubt. It's nice. Maybe a bit more. Some of them a bit more. Of course, we have AVAX down 14 for the week, SHIB down 12%, but on average, let's say about a 10% dip. And that's not bad. But guys, I want a little bit more. I want to see if it's going to come down lower. Not because I'm trying to be greedy here. It's just because ultimately I already bought some dips and I don't want to be deploying after every little single micro dip. And that's the way you run out of capital, guys. Like those memes say, how many times are you going to buy the dip before you eventually run out of capital? And the thing is to be strategic about where you deploy, right? If you deploy within a general area, wait for a significant dip in order to deploy more. And the reality is that if it does get a further dip and it gets a nice bounce, even if it's a slight dip, but it gets a nice strong bounce, you won't even care about your entries, because reality is we're entering a bull run. The likelihood is of entering a bull run right now is quite high, and these entries at these lower levels are not going to matter later on. So let's keep that all in mind. If we keep on coming down here, you can see that the market is still in that in that dip type of stance. It's still definitely pushing to the downside. We have stacks coming down, and even some projects are forming bear flags that are breaking down, like Filecoin, a bit of a flag, and then maybe continuation. Is the rest of the market going to continue doing that in the immediate short term? Do we expect a continuation for the rest of the week to be bearish and maybe get a green weekend or something like that? All very possible. But the consensus right now, except for Maker, maybe, Dog with Hat looks like it wants to roll over, guys. Be careful. It does look like it wants just to keep on falling. Maker kind of going sideways. Does it finally get that hang time where it kind of dips, you know? And then we have Core kind of going sideways. Is it a bull flag? Maybe it gets that bull flag status once the market tends to find its bottom, and then it continues to the upside. We have W, the wormhole is out, ready to do its thing. It's been coming, it went up, it's coming down. Lots of volatility in the next little while. Guys, be careful out there with new projects that are listed. Sometimes you get it in at a good state, sometimes you don't. Just be careful. Lots of sell-offs as token holders, obviously looking to make some profits. Monero getting a bit of a retracement. The market is still a bit red, guys, a little bit red. Big Cat token is looking really good. Guys, a really good indication that we're getting some interest in trading again. Perhaps BGB is one of those leading indicators for market sentiment. Is the retail market getting in? Very possible here. And if we keep on going down, we have Ribbon kind of going sideways. We got Flare kind of getting a jitter here. Nice up and down, you know, whipsaw price action. We have Athena, another new one. We're getting a lot of new projects, guys. Up 32% in the last little while. Could be a good gainer in the next little bit. But if you think about it, we're talking about big market cap projects. I know they're new, but look, this $1.5 billion market cap, right, for Athena. And then we have the other one that we just talked about. Where is it? We got a lot of projects that are large cap already and that are entering the market, and ultimately, you know, we're not getting the best prices, really. Even Jupiter, in my opinion, right now is currently overvalued, in my opinion. If you want to buy on the cheap, it's too expensive, in my opinion. You should be waiting for retracements across the board. So keep that in mind, guys. We're looking for bottoms so we can buy low and sell high, not the opposite. And the market, as of now, has been giving us a few fire sales, like Mina Protocol. If you're into Ronin, it's down 11%. Not bad. Ondo's down 13, 14%. Not bad, right? But ultimately, guys, I'm wondering if we're getting that continuation to the downside. All right, guys, I know you're here to talk about charts, so let's begin. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. We'll talk about Mintlayer in a second, but let's take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin, at the end of the day, is doing exactly what I expected it to do, pretty much consolidate. We're not getting any indication of a continuation to the downside just yet. However, consolidation is very possible. Let's look at this in a little bit more detail. You can see that the volume is picking up very, very nicely right into here. Lots of market participation being built, and there's no price action in the chart right now in this current view, which means that all of this volume profile volume is basically suggesting that this is market participation, which shows us a bit of strength. Now, if you look at the RSI is not oversold yet. Okay, so that's the risk that you take getting into a fresh long in this current state of this consolidation. If we get oversold, it's likely to hit much lower levels, maybe even lower than that $61,000, $62,000 mark. It could come down all the way down to about $52,000, and that's only if it gets oversold. And look at the MACD. The MACD is still pushing down with those EMAs, red histogram bars to the downside. So guys, at the end of the day, I'm not getting any inclination that the push is over. We could continue to the downside based on daily time frames. Now, what we really have to understand is that the 4-hour might be giving us an edge for a long position. However, always keep in mind that if the 4-hour is not strong enough to change the look of how this looks on the daily, guys, you got to get in and get out on the 4-hour. You can't keep a long hold on the daily because there's no edge on the daily. We could get a bounce based on the 4-hour, but we could continue to the downside based on the daily. So basically what you're doing, getting in on a long on the 4-hour, is trading against the daily momentum, which is not a good idea. You should be trading with the daily momentum. In this case, unfortunately, I'm talking about shorts. You're talking about pushes to the downside. The momentum on the RSI is pushing down. The trend strength on the MACD is pushing down. And to be honest, we're in a consolidation, and we could break horizontal support given that the momentum is looking this way. Now, there's some people that could argue, but we're in the chop zone. The RSI right now is entering that zone where in the past we've seen many charts hold the chop zone as support. In fact, you could argue that this was one of them. We came down a little bit. We didn't get oversold. We came down a little bit, maybe over-exaggerated, and got that nice pop to the upside. Do we do it again? In fact, do we make a higher low? Look at this low, higher low, Do we make another higher low? So there's a bit of a trend. Now, if this becomes its bottom in this type of scenario, I'm expecting another overbought condition, an overbought scenario here on the RSI, which would bring us to another pop to the upside. So you can see how we're getting mixed signals here in this market. Do we get oversold? Is the MACD going to finally stop pushing down? And if we do get oversold, how low could we go? So the best idea here is this. If you plan on getting on a fresh long on Bitcoin, at the end of the day, looking at lower time frames is the best idea. Let's look at the 4 hour. You can see that the 4 hour is oversold. So you're getting yourself a bit of an edge on momentum, that you're not buying into overbought conditions in a hot market where it's really overbought. The MACD is looking okay. We're not getting a green histogram bar just yet. We didn't even get an EMA cross to the upside, so we're a bit early. We can plan this strategy, plan this long position right now. And I feel like if we get closer to invalidation, which we closer to this bottom, your entry is going to be a lot better. Now, of course, if we make a nice retracement down to, let's say, the 786, 886, even golden pocket, let's say swing high to swing, no, let's do this. Let's not do that. Let's do something else. Sorry, guys. We're going to do a swing low to swing high, and then we're going to do a retracement. Right now, we're touching that golden pocket. What about if we get down to the 786? We might respect this hypothetical trend line that we got going on here, right? I just plotted this in to get an idea of how this consolidation could eventually play out. Now, we could do one of these and get support in the golden pocket. No doubt, then we've reached a bottom, holding the 200 EMA on the 4 hour as support in overbought conditions. No EMA cross on the MACD just yet, but what about if we come down to the 786? What are you going to do about it? We got a bit of a volume gap right into here that could act as support if we do come down there, and it's still satisfying a higher low, and it's still satisfying a consolidation into the symmetrical triangle. So you know what, I like to be prepared. At the end of the day, a 786 retracement is going to give you a better risk to reward ratio, because your invalidation for that long has to be this low, and if you get down to this area, your stop loss can be put a lot tighter than all the way up here at the golden pocket, which a dip from there is going to cost you, let's see, percentage wise, it's going to cost you more or less 6%, which could be significant, right? So position size is important. Make sure that 6% doesn't, amount to more than 2% of your trading portfolio, right? And if you can come down a little lower and get an entry at 786, you're going to notice that percentage is going to be a lot less. Therefore, making your losses a little bit more comfortable to, pallet. So at the end of the day, I like the 4 hour for entries right around the 786, 886 retracement, and then going for a long and putting that stop loss underneath here is probably the best idea. If we come back to the diagonal resistance, that would be an area to kind of de-risk and trail up a stop loss and expect a potential breakout based on a reset of momentum on the 4 hour. But again, that daily, guys, we can't ignore the daily, because the daily at the current moment, as we speak, unless it gets support on this chop zone and we get a quick EMA cross any moment, guys, it's not looking good still. I'm not really confident. And if you're not confident and you don't have the confluence, then you know what the best thing to do is move on and find another opportunity. All right, guys, speaking of opportunities, let's talk about Mintlayer. Guys, Mintlayer at the end of the day is one of those projects that a lot of people are talking about, including myself. I'm very bullish on Mintlayer. I'm bullish on many projects, guys. You guys know that I like all kinds of different cryptos. I am not, a fanboy on a particular one. I like getting in on any project that has decent tech, good community, a good team, good fundamentals, and of course I do deep dives in order to get myself fundamentally bullish. But at the end of the day, I'm looking at this daily, and this 200 daily EMA, the orange line, is working out very, very nicely here. And I understand that right now the bulls need to come in and step in. Why? Because we have this previous low. This low right here needs to be protected at all costs, because pretty much that's the confirmation for the bears. If it does break below that low, we made a lower low, right? I know you're looking at this low and you're probably saying, Mike, then why isn't this a lower low? Well, this was the previous low, the previous major low after the last impulse. So we got one last impulse and then we started changing trend. Well, this could be just a correction. A, B, C. Done. If we come down and break this low, guys, it's likely to make another lower high and another lower low. And things are starting to look really bearish. So what I would say is this is the time to start thinking about taking risk. Now, the RSI, let's talk about momentum for a second. The momentum is not oversold. So the risk that you take getting into a position at this current moment is the fact that it could get into the zone and push down lower, but it did come down quite a bit. And like we've seen on many charts, in a bullish trend, you're not going to get oversold conditions often, and don't expect it, because that way you'll miss your buy opportunities. And this is why a lot of individuals start looking at lower time frames. And then you start looking at the MACD. The MACD got an EMA cross to the upside. We got green histogram bars forming right now, and it does look like it might want to push down and get that EMA cross down and maybe red histogram bars, but we're not there yet. So unless we get those crosses to confirm that we're staying in the bearish control zone and we're rolling over, I'm not really worried at this current moment. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm going to get in all in, because this thing could roll over and cross over and get into a very bearish stance and get very extended into the bearish control zone. So what I'm trying to say here is that your position size should reflect the risk that you're taking. So right now, I am not 100%. You should never be 100% confident, but I am not super confident, okay, in this level. The reality is we got a nice horizontal support level right below at about 31 cents. This horizontal support is also the volume gap that, you know, works out very nice. This bottom, this top should introduce a lot of emotional individuals in this market, and we could see a nice reaction at this level that is very, very close to this 200 EMA. So what I would like to say is buying the dip at psychological levels, at good horizontal supports, at good risk to reward ratio is actually healthy. Putting a stop loss underneath this low is not a bad idea, because if we do break below, we're going to be coming down to about 19.7 cents. And at the end of the day, we are still within this retracement. The MACD, okay, it's 50-50. It does look like it wants to cross, and we didn't get oversold on the RSI. So based on the daily, I'm a bit iffy, okay? Not much volume either building in this horizontal level. Let's take a look at the 4-hour. The 4-hour is in the chop zone. It's very, very choppy. As you can see, if we zoom in, you can see a bit of price action here to act as support, which is really, really nice. And if you accumulate it all, it also includes this. If you exclude it, this is probably more important, because we're going to start to see what the sentiment is like right here, and it is picking up on the lower time frames. On the lower time frames, we're seeing a bit of market interest. However, we're not seeing the volatility that we need. The RSI is not getting overbought. The RSI is not getting oversold. That's the volatility that we need right when we start getting into an expansion. We need to get into an expansion here as we see the volatility consolidate and contract. So when are we going to expand to the upside, guys? It could happen any moment. At least we're getting a little bit sideways here in the short term on the 4-hour, where we got a bit of a confirmation low, a higher low, just a little one, which is nice. If we start making a higher high, the bulls are going to start looking at this whole area as a pivot point. And you can see we're getting some divergence, lower lows on the price action. And if you look at the RSI, we're making higher lows, which is really nice, all up into here. And then we come down, we got that confirmation low, higher low. Guys, it's not looking bad. Right on the 4-hour. That's all it is. Just a bit of a position on the 4-hour. And because we're a bit, you know, okay on the daily as well, not totally confident, but somewhat looking interesting, enter a position that is equivalent to the risk that you're taking. So what that means for me is maybe 50%. Maybe 50% of the bag that you're willing to allocate to Mintlayer, get in with 50% of your bag, and as it comes down, deploy the rest. Or maybe 25%. And then as it comes down, hit another 25%. If it comes down lower, hit another 25%. The only issue is with getting in too slowly is that you're forgetting the bias of the market. The bias of the market currently is bullish. Obviously, the major trend that we've been playing around with is a massive bullish trend. And the halvings around the corner, the bullish narrative has to pick up eventually with the supply shock and so on and so forth. So eventually what you're doing is expecting such deep retracements, it's going to prevent you from deploying the majority of your capital. And that's a hard decision to make. Right? If you get in all in right now, you're not going to have enough capital to buy the dips later. But if you get in with too little, what happens is that you're not going to have enough exposure to the volatility if we get that bounce now. So the best way to do it is to DCA, and to DCA with a reasonable strategy considering horizontal support. I like this area. I like this area. And even where we are right now, guys, it's not looking that bad on lower time frames. So DCA bit by bit into this area, little by little, and you should be okay. Now, in the instance that you you do not deploy your full bag, and in fact you have some left over that you wanted to be allocating to Mintlayer and it has run, guys, don't FOMO into green price action. Wait for something else. Look for another project, guys. Here on the channel, we're talking about projects day in and day out. Join the Discord, because on the Discord, we're always talking about new setups, new ideas, new projects that are coming out, and it's new opportunities for you to deploy your capital at a healthy risk to reward ratio. Once Mintlayer starts waking up and starts moving, guys, it's going to be too late, because you never know. We could get another area of resistance at 77 cents and get rejected again and get into a bigger consolidation at this level. So right now, DCA, don't worry, don't FOMO into green price action. Just slowly buy the dips and consider that when we start getting a nice move to the upside, start getting defensive on those gains, guys, because gains are meant to be taken, because that's the only way you're going to consider yourself profitable. Guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor. I'm going to be live tonight at 7:30 Eastern talking about crypto news and price action. If you have any projects you want me to cover, that is a great time and place to make any requests. I'll put them in top priority. And of course, guys, if you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. The Discord is there, guys. All links are there. Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setup fundamentals, and learning material. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.